Donald Armstrong walked into the Nashville Police Department on July 15, 1985, covered in blood. "I killed my wife," he told the officer calmly. What happened next would lead to one of Tennessee's most shocking cases of justice failed, and a second innocent woman dead. This is the story of a man who got away with murder, only to kill again. But before we uncover this twisted tale, hit that subscribe button right now, smash that like, and share this story. Comment below what country you're watching from. I love connecting with true crime fans worldwide. Diana Armstrong was only 32 years old when she died on that hot July night in 1985. She and Donald had been married for 8 years, living in a modest house on the outskirts of Nashville, Tennessee. Neighbors described them as a quiet couple who kept to themselves. On the evening of July 14, 1985, their neighbor Paula Henderson heard screaming coming from the Armstrong house. By the time she called the police, everything had gone silent. The next morning, Donald Armstrong walked into the police station and confessed. Detective Jack Morrison took Donald's statement. Donald claimed it was self-defense. He said Diana had attacked him with a kitchen knife during an argument about money. He said he had no choice but to fight back. He strangled her, he admitted, but only to stop her from hurting him. The evidence told a different story. Diana had defensive wounds on her hands. She had been strangled slowly, deliberately. The medical examiner, Dr. Jean Patterson, determined that Diana had fought for her life for several minutes. There was no knife found at the scene matching Donald's description. Donald was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. He sat in jail awaiting trial, and that's when his best friend stepped in to save him. Tony Bradford had known Donald since high school. They'd played football together, served in Vietnam together, and Tony had been best man at Donald's wedding to Diana. As Donald's friend, he was also one of the wealthiest men in Nashville, owning a chain of car dealerships across Tennessee. Tony hired the best defense lawyers money could buy. He paid for expert witnesses who contradicted Dr. Patterson's findings. He called in favors from people in high places. Rumors swirled that money had changed hands, that evidence had disappeared, that witnesses had been pressured. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Donald's lawyers painted Diana as unstable, violent, and dangerous. They brought forward co-workers who testified about arguments they'd witnessed. They suggested she'd been unfaithful, though no evidence supported this claim. On December 3, 1985, the jury found Donald Armstrong not guilty by reason of self-defense. He walked out of that courtroom a free man. Diana's family was devastated. Her sister Rhoda cried on the courthouse steps, telling reporters, "Justice wasn't served today. My sister's killer walks free." Detective Morrison watched Donald leave with Tony Bradford, and something in his gut told him this wasn't over. For 2 years, Donald Armstrong lived quietly. He worked at one of Tony's dealerships, selling cars and rebuilding his life. Tony's family welcomed him to Sunday dinners and holiday gatherings. That's where Donald met Amber Bradford, Tony's 24-year-old daughter. Amber was beautiful, kind, and naive about the world's darkness. She'd grown up privileged, sheltered, and trusting. When her father's friends started paying attention to her, she was flattered. Donald was older, sophisticated, and attentive in ways boys her age weren't. Tony encouraged the relationship. He told friends that Donald deserved happiness after everything he'd been through. By spring of 1987, Donald and Amber were dating seriously. By December, they were married in a lavish ceremony at the Bradford estate. Amber's mother, Paula Bradford, had reservations. Whispers about Diana's death, about evidence that didn't add up. But Tony dismissed her concerns. Donald was acquitted, he'd say firmly. Let it go. For 18 months, the marriage seemed happy. Amber became pregnant in early 1989. She glowed with excitement, planning the nursery, picking out names. She told her friends she'd never been happier. But behind closed doors, Donald was changing. He became controlling, jealous, possessive. He monitored Amber's phone calls and limited her contact with friends. When she was 7 months pregnant, she confided in her friend that she was scared of her husband. On August 8, 1989, Donald Armstrong made another call to 911. His voice was eerily calm, just as it had been 4 years earlier. "My wife fell down the stairs," he said. "She's not breathing. The baby. I think the baby's gone too." When paramedics arrived, they found Amber at the bottom of the basement stairs, her neck broken. But the evidence didn't support an accidental fall. There were bruises on her throat, matching finger marks. The stairs showed no signs of her tumbling down them. She'd been positioned there after death. This time, Detective Morrison was ready. He'd kept Diana's case file active, documenting every inconsistency. When he heard about Amber's death, he knew immediately what had happened. Donald gave the same performance: the grieving husband, the tragic accident, the devastated widower. But Morrison wasn't buying it anymore. Within hours, Donald was arrested. This time, there would be no wealthy friend to save him. The evidence was overwhelming. Amber had told multiple friends she feared Donald. Her diary, found in her bedside table, detailed months of emotional abuse and escalating violence. She'd written about wanting to leave but being afraid of what Donald might do. The prosecution brought forward new evidence about Diana's murder, showing the patterns were identical. 2 wives, both strangled, both staged to look like something else. 2 911 calls with the same calm, emotionless tone. Tony Bradford sat in the courtroom every day, his face gray with guilt and grief. He'd enabled a killer. He'd ignored the warning signs. He'd sacrificed his own daughter's safety for loyalty to a murderer. The trial lasted 6 weeks. On November 12, 1989, the jury took only 3 hours to find Donald Armstrong guilty of first-degree murder. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As officers led Donald away in handcuffs, he smiled, that same unsettling smile witnesses had described 4 years earlier. It was the smile of a man who'd gotten away with murder once and almost succeeded twice. Donald Armstrong is still in Tennessee State Prison today, now in his late 70s. He's never expressed remorse for either Diana or Amber. In a rare prison interview in 2005, he maintained his innocence, claiming both deaths were tragic accidents. Tony Bradford never recovered from his daughter's death. He sold his businesses and established a foundation in Amber's name to help victims of domestic violence. Before he died in 2003, he gave a statement saying his biggest regret was not believing Diana's family when they warned him about Donald. Rhoda, Diana's sister, became an advocate for justice reform, working to prevent wealthy defendants from buying their way out of murder charges. She testified before the Tennessee legislature, helping pass stricter guidelines for forensic evidence in domestic violence cases. The case of Donald Armstrong serves as a chilling reminder that justice delayed is often justice denied. One woman might have been saved if the system had worked correctly the first time. 2 lives were lost because wealth and influence corrupted the process. If this story disturbed you as much as it disturbed me, make sure you're subscribed to this channel for more true crime cases that expose the failures and successes of our justice system. Hit that like button, share this video, and comment your country below. Let me know what case you want me to cover next. Remember, awareness is the first step toward preventing tragedies like these from happening again. Until next time, stay safe out there.